Hello, welcome back to College Boy Taisen. Episode 5, technically 6, you know how it is, the number.
I thought it was actually just episode 6, but then I remembered.
Yeah, episode 0 will never live that down. Today we have some things to talk about. Definitely some things.
We got a little preamble, I feel.
Jacob, what are we going to talk about before Geats, if you want to kick us off?
We're going to be talking about Power Rangers Cosmic Fury.
Last week we talked about it.
We said some things that we regret.
I'd like to note that we recorded that literally the day before they gave us the news. Even though it came out on Saturday, we recorded it on Thursday. And
you recorded a lot of podcasts that day.
I really did. I recorded 2 different sessions for Runaway Toku because the first one got lost because Nox wasn't there.
That got lost in quotes. Yep.
and then
deleted it.
And then I recorded. Then I recorded with Jacob, and it was certainly a time. I talked a lot that week.
Shot by the end.
But last week I made my prediction of, because Jacob asked if I think it was going to be original suits or Q Ranger, and my theory was that if they do not show anything that day, that means that they're original suits, and if they do show something that day, it's Q Ranger or Q Major. I was
right.
Listen, I was typically right, but if you want a hard look at the facts, I was wrong on both fronts. I was. They showed it that day, and it was original. I don't know I don't remember what you said.
I don't remember if I gave a prediction. I just know I don't know if I said this in the episode, but I think I've been saying it. No matter what Sentai they went with, it was a win-win. And then if they went original, it was 50-50, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up with the 50-50. And it's 150 depending on your opinion.
It's College Boy. I think here at College Boy Tyson, we're a bit 50-50. I know. I don't think. I remember you saying you ever hated the suits. I think you just said you're like disappointed.
It's the whole thing of like, all right. I've mellowed out on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing is okay. Original suits. At that point, shouldn't you do original Zords or call Toei and be like, hey, remember when we did Zoo 2 footage? Can you do that for Ryu Soldier? I'm actually a fan of that idea. I wish they did that. That would have been cool. I know the Zords were destroyed, but like they could make something up, right?
Yeah.
But like the fact that they're doing Q Ranger Zords, it kind of like feels like Q Ranger's off the table. But at the same time, they could do something weird where it's like this is kind of going into a tangent. I'm sorry, but I've had all these thoughts about it, right? And it's like, okay, what if at the end they give the Zords to the Q Ranger cast, and that's like a little cliffhanger tease for what could happen next in the universe if we ever come back to adaptations, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's sort of just, it's more disappointing that the first original suits I feel I don't enjoy, and I also just feel like this is kind of like not like being a Doom poster, and like, I don't know, I just don't feel like it bodes well if like the designs aren't really that great.
Yeah.
I also feel like they kind of don't capture the magic that, I don't want to say real Sentai designs do, but you get what I mean. Like, they don't feel like proper They more feel like I don't even want to say parody. Imitation, I guess, is the best word. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The flea market knockoff.
I'm not trying to be aggressive on it, because I know you like it.
Yeah. No, I love these suits, but I can admit, like, some design choices are jarring, like the lightning bolt on the belt. I know some people have defended that with like, oh, it's the PR symbol. Like, yeah, but like, you don't see SPD walking around with a lightning bolt on their chest.
Not to mention, it's like they picked the ugliest version of the lightning bolt.
I think it always just make more sense if they had like the little like their own unique little like the dinosaur face looking forward instead of the side profile.
I agree.
That would have been better. Or if like they had like the little zigzag from the actual Ryu Soldier suits on there, that would also be cool.
I think that's what's missing. I think the zigzag missing is probably one.
And yeah, that's the second issue I have of just the concept art really makes the torso look bare, and not to shit on concept artists because for some reason people made
No,
that mistake.
the art's good.
No, for some
the
reason
art is fine. The
people made
design
that
is the
mistake
problem,
on
I
Twitter,
think.
thinking the concept like the illustrator that made the design
Yeah.
that drew the designs for the stream. They thought they made the designs, which is crazy. I like obviously they have to come from sort of concept artist to just
Not to
hire
mention
some
they have to
person
go
on
through-
Twitter to
They have to go
okay,
through
make the
thousands
suits.
of like things from Hasbro too, and like Hasbro has to approve everything.
Yeah.
It's not just one person just deciding to go, oh, I want the suits to look like this. No, it's a whole committee.
They did a good job drawing, and I think a lot of the fan
it's
artists
beautiful art. It
I think
really is.
I think a lot of the fan artists of the community really make the suits look even better. TBH, even if they use the same design. But yeah, I will agree that the torsos is what's I think jarring for most people. That's just like solid color.
Now, before we get into Geats, final question on this. Would you have felt better if it was just straight up Q Ranger suits, or do you like this better?
Well, now that we have the suits, right? I feel like that kind of confirms, especially with 10 episodes, that we're not getting other people as Rangers.
100%.
And so my thing, I know people, the biggest complaint, even Simon Bennett talked about it, of like, it'd be hard to have that many Rangers. But if I wanted them to adapt Q Ranger, I'd want them to go all the way. And it's very clear that even if we were getting the Q Ranger suits, they would not have gone all the way. So I'm fine with this.
I feel like I'm dragging this on, but this is probably like one of my favorite things to talk about as of late. It's like the 10 episode things is kind of they put in, right? So it's not like if they had done Q Ranger, I don't think they would have done 10 episodes. Do you get what I mean?
Makes sense.
I think they would have at least given 22 or a little bit more. But there's also the whole MMPR reunion thing, so that probably ate into the budget for this too.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I thought they canceled that thing, but it's actually happening, so that's cool.
Honestly, I'm not too appalled by the 10 episode thing like a lot of people seem to be.
I'm not either. For this,
I'm fine with
sense.
it. Because like a major complaint I saw through when the second half of the second season was slowly coming out in another country. A lot of people had the complaint of like, yeah, but I don't want to see another full season of this cast. Like, some of these characters don't need to have their story continued. And I disagree with that, because I like these characters, and also there's a lot of potential that they had in the first two seasons.
Especially with, like...
There's a lot of potential they had in the first few seasons.
Ollie, Amelia, and I think Javi especially. I think they could all benefit from more.
Like they had so much potential in the first two seasons that I think could always be drawn out more. But it's like a middle ground of like we get to probably see that, but at the same time, like
it's not overdoing it.
Yeah, it's like their story is gonna end soon.
But I think Cosmic Fury is still interesting to me. I'm just a little less. I think the story is probably the most interesting part now. I think the suits are probably
what they said. It's interesting to me that I think Simon Bennett said it because basically all our news is just Simon Bennett replying to random niggas on Twitter. But
don't get me started.
I'm pretty sure he said the main villain is gonna be Zed alongside all original villains. Like they're gonna make original monster suits.
Yeah, that is what he said.
But
I'm saying that like affirmatively. I've remembered every detail about this.
I always like to question things to the smallest detail. So in my mind, I'm like, does he mean original villains, as in like villains that Power Rangers has never seen before, or that both Power Rangers and Sentai have never seen before?
I could see it going both ways, because speaking on Q Ranger footage for a second, if they're only using the Zord fights, they don't fight the monsters of the week in the Zord fights. They fight the robots.
Yeah, the robot things.
And I think even the few times they do fight the monsters, it's like the generals or whatever. It's like those three guys.
Yeah.
And some other people. I think Scorpio. Does Scorpio get a giant fight? I don't think he does.
Yeah, he had a little baby fight.
I don't remember. They should use if they use Scorpio.
That monster design is
I'd
pretty
be
sick.
down. I'd be down. Get a toy of him. That'd be sick.
I would love it. But yeah, I'm excited for Cosmic Fury. I hope the rest of I like even if the suits look meh to some people, I just hope they look good together.
As they said in the 2017 movie, which is highly underrated, by the way.
For real,
Highly. Together we're more. So hopefully they will be together.
You
and
know,
more.
here at College Boy
fumble.
Tyson, we really believe that 2017 should get a sequel.
You know what I also think should get a sequel?
What?
Commodore Geats episode 4.
You know, it was really good. It was
good. This might be my. I think this was my favorite episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like how much depth Buffa is getting. Like Geats has done a really good job.
Smooth ass segue. I'm sorry. We really just flowed around. I know I'm breaking the flow, but I'm actually impressed with us there.
I think this out of any Takahashi season, I should add, because you know there's definitely others that probably did this. What I'm about to say better.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best Takahashi season in terms of establishing the main set of writers as characters.
Yeah.
Because with
so.
X8, I didn't like, even by the first couple episodes. There wasn't too much to go off on the main four, like Emu, Hiro, Taiga, and Kirya.
I think you could see that, like, honestly, you know, just talking about X8 for a minute, that might just be the problem with the fact that they introduced everybody one by one. I think Geats had the benefit of, you introduced everybody in the first episode practically, or our main four, right?
Yeah, and then mess around with it with how the concept of the story works. And 01 was just fine. Like it wasn't anything crazy nor bad.
I actually enjoyed how they introduced people in 01.
Aruto's introduction was fine. I loved who was but you know, still they didn't feel all that crazy by like the first couple episodes. But I think Geats has done such a good job at making Keiwa, Neon, and Buffa feel like, God, why am I not saying his name?
I don't know what it's.
Azuma.
Michinaga. Another name.
Michinaga.
I'm calling him Azuma. That's easier to say.
Yeah, Azuma, Neon, and Keiwa. They've done such a good job in these first couple episodes of making them feel like such fleshed out characters, and I know it's because like both Buffa and Neon has a two-parter, and Keiwa's basically the main. God, I said Buffa again, and Keiwa basically is the main character of the show. But even then, I feel like Ace already has so much characterization just through implications and how the writing is.
Mm-hmm.
Like these four are by far the most interesting. The initial start off, they're the most interesting and intriguing in my opinion.
You wanna? All right. So this I don't. All right. Once again, here at College Boy, excuse me, Jesus. Here at College Boy Tyson's, we look a little too deep into things, but that's what we do. So, this episode, I know this is related to what you were talking about, so stay with me for a second.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's related to the characters, mostly. So, this episode, they finally address, like, the whole ID cores in the buckle situation. That the fact, the Geats ID core works best with Magnum, Buffa works best with Zombie, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know, maybe this is just me looking too deep into it, but that's what we do here, obviously. There's, like, the characters and the buckles they're associated with that matches their personalities. And maybe that's the point, right? But, like, Zombie is literally meant to, like, just bust through everything and beat everything to
actually,
hell.
You just gave me an idea, fuck.
And then you get Ozma, who literally just wants to beat the shit out of everybody and just win by pure force. Like, he just forces his way through everything. That's what Zombie does. Has a chainsaw, too. Chainsaw rips and tears through everything. But then, like, Magnum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even with Japan, shout out Chris.
we did it!
We did it, the requisite. So even with Magnum, with Japan and Geats, like, it can go both ways. Like, Magnum, you know, Ace is a show-off. He's, like, elegant. And you can do that, you know, there's people, you know, cowboys and shit, like,
trick
elegant with their gun. Yeah, trick shotters, right? But then, you know, Japan, school shooter.
Stand from afar and shoot people.
I don't know if we can say school shooter, can we? We'll be fine.
That's basically what Japan has written. Like, go check out other episodes. Shout out Will on Twitter.
But and I mean, even you look ahead, right? Beat Neon's in the music. I know that's kind of an obvious thing, but I mean,
oh no, especially like they set it up with her channel and like her initial like dance stream, and then she's like, oh, she works really well with music playing.
I mean, it kind of... The only questionable one at the moment is ninja. But I'm sure somebody, some magical person on Twitter, like Will, could figure out a connection.
My guess is like maybe, because
like
the
ulterior motive.
I don't know, something about, I think it might have something to do with like, not only is it has the ninja theme, but also the gears give it like a kind of secondary theme. I don't know, but that might factor in.
I forget what they're called. They're like somebody made a good point. It's like a cock or a puppet or something. I don't know what it is. There's like a post about it on Twitter, I think. But I think there is definitely a connection, because like you can make some with the other three, and even like, you know, you can kind of glance at Punk Jack and think about Monster and be like, okay, he's just he
could be a monster under there.
He could be a monster under there, or he could just go berserk and be a literal monster. But that was probably my favorite bit of the episode, because it actually got me thinking, which I think is cool. Do you get what I mean? I know it's stupid to be like, oh my god, the Toku show made me think.
Oh,
like,
nah.
I don't know. It was a cool
because
feeling.
I love looking into little stuff like that. Obviously, you know, my Twitter, all the stuff I do here, but it really gives me an idea, because in a previous episode of College Boy Tyson, I like making our viewers go back and check out other shit. But I said I had this whole theory based off Trust Last and Ace, of like,
you didn't tell them, guys. Trust Last has grown on me.
We did it. Jacob's starting to like it. I'm so happy.
We did it. Ghia, congrats. Everyone on Twitter, Ballin, Ghially.
Would you say it's like you think it's a good song now, or do you think it's just okay?
I pulled. You know how you said like you get yourself like humming it sometimes.
Yeah.
I watched episode 5, and then like today I was like. I was singing the chorus to myself. But no, it's grown on me, and I think the visuals still are just gorgeous. But continue. I'm sorry for ruining your...
No, I wanted to bring that up too. I was going to forget. But in the previous episode, I bring up that my theory with Trust Last and Ace is that Trust Last is supposed to give like Ace's personality, or hints about it. And that leads, especially in mixed with what he does in the first 4 episodes, and that Ace is a person that like really does care about helping people and wants to have friends, but has like extreme trust issues and wants to keep people like out of arm's reach. So like so he makes sure that whenever he helps people, he does stuff to ensure that his spot in the world or in the game is still secure before he helps others, so others can't bring him down as a result. Just, you know, trust issues. And I think, like, with you saying, oh, their stuff goes into their personalities, that would make sense for Magnum, because this whole thing is that he wants to keep people at a distance.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. I just like speculating about Ace's character. He's a really interesting main character to me.
Now, this kind of, you know, going to the Buckle conversation. What do you think about Boost? Do you think, because Kayla got Boost again.
He did.
And he didn't even get tricked this time to give it to them.
I love that I said in like another episode that I just hope he gets it every time and just never uses it because he gives it to someone else. And it's... Buffa gets Boost this week.
I don't know how Neon fleeced him like that.
Buffa gets Boost this week. And I really think it'd be funny if before the team switch happens, Kayla just gets it again. He's like, you know what, Buffa? I think you should have it.
The team switch. I think the team switch is going to be interesting because, like, how is Kayla going to figure it out? Well, I think Kayla already figured it out.
Kayla figured it out in the middle of the Buffa fight. It was like in the second fight of the episode when Buffa's just like, "What are you doing, nerd?"
You know how to play card games, loser. No. No, I think it's good. Episode 6 looks really interesting, and I hope my thing holds true that Mary gets disqualified. I think in my head I imagined him lasting like to 8. I don't know though. That's not the point. This episode though, speaking of Buffa, really, really solid development for him, and really good at giving. His backstory seems very cool.
They very fleshed him out more as just like I hate Ace. Like they gave him this whole thing of just he's a solid hard worker that just wants to get the job done so he can get his money and go home. Mm-hmm. And then like he had a person that finally like kind of introduced the idea of chasing a dream or chasing something like in your life. And it's like we don't need a lot to kind of like I guess like get a suggestion or implication that like he kind of got close to this guy, because the next time we see him he's like crying because he fucking died.
And Geats is there, not doing anything. Which I wonder if that was actually Ace, or they're gonna pull that thing of it being a different dude or something. Because I remember, I think we were talking about that. It's could be the two aces thing, or it's that's the guy he's looking for.
That's my thing, because I feel like Ace would have remembered that, or the funnier option, he does remember, and he just chooses not to fuck with Buffa.
Or the third option,
I think
he chooses not to remember because he actually messed up.
My third option is that let's say like, using the hint from the other episode of him being like, I'll find you, while staring at a board of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And like using the trust last thing of like how there's two aces. And also using the rule that they set up of only you can use your ID core and no one else can.
I think I see where you're going with this.
So if Ace doesn't remember that, and he said to himself on a billboard, I'm going to come find you, and that would lead to the question of how could someone else who was not Ace use his ID core during that flashback. And so maybe it's not that other people can't use it. It's just other people with a different genetic makeup can't use it. So if Ace had a twin, if there was a second Ace, then he could use the same ID core.
Or even Crack Potter. Somebody used one of their wishes to turn into him.
That would be so funny. That would be, oh my god,
like,
that'd be
no,
hilarious.
because he go, or even like this, whoever. So go with the idea that this isn't the actual Ace, right? That's not him, right? Say the original Ace wished for this guy to look like him, but the guy doesn't realize he looks like Ace, or I guess he has to, right? But still, do you get what I mean? Like the guy doesn't know. You get what I mean? Like he thinks he's looking for a different dude, or maybe he sees himself as not Ace. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. That was kind of all over the place, but yeah. I don't know. It's really interesting.
Ooh, that would actually be really interesting, because like we established that with the Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. With the Grand Prix, if God, oh my god, my brain is scrambled. If you don't die in one of the rounds and the game resets, even if you win or lose, as long as you didn't die, you keep playing anyway. Because Geats won, he was still in the next round. Buffa lost, he was still in the next round. And they set up in episode 1 that, once you get your ID core and your driver, that's your one-way ticket to becoming a Kamen Rider, and there's no way out. So going to what you said of, like, he turned, like, there's another Geats, the first Geats, that turned someone else into him, or turned him into Ace. What if oh my god, it's Kamen Rider build. But anyways.
No! Kamen Rider build!
But so what if the original person who was Ukyo Ace, or just someone with Ace's face, wanted to get out of the Grand Prix but didn't know how, because no matter how many times he won, he kept having to fight anyways. So he chose either like a random guy, or maybe like, I don't know, one of the losers of the Grand Prix.
Or maybe it's Buff. No, Buff's friend died.
Yeah. Or maybe
that would be a twist.
One of the friends, like, with someone else in the Grand Prix, or just someone else in the world, or just made the wish of like someone else is Ukyo Ace.
You know, he was randomly just kind of in that fucking, on that rock face in the first episode.
Uh-huh.
And it could just be some random fucking guy, and Desire Grand Prix aren't gonna really know. They look for they're looking for people to be Kamen Riders. They already know this guy, or they don't. You get what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just gonna if it is going with the whole theory, right?
That would be
It's just a
insane,
dude
though.
who looks like a guy they know. They're not gonna like exactly check it out.
That would be genuinely like pretty crazy. Of like the original Geats wanted to get out but didn't know how, so he was like, "If only I can use my AD core, and they'll always come back to me. What if someone else was me?"
I suppose he could have just made a clone of himself, but like that's kind of lame.
And so Ace's entire thing right now is finding the original Ace to try to get his shit back.
Oh my god, it's because he's not Ace, he's a Joker. Ah. That was a good one, Jacob. Laugh, viewers, I can hear you.
But yeah, I think this is a really good episode. Buffa is really fleshed out. And also, the Kazuma agenda is growing. If anyone has seen my Twitter, literally my PFP right now is a picture of Kayla and Azuma's actor, like doing a photo shoot together that they did for the show. And ever since then, I was like, you know what? My crackpot ship. I'm gonna ship these two and see how it goes. And every episode so far, I've been getting more shit.
I gotta say though, action this episode top notch.
Really, I think at least every episode has had a decent action scene so far. TBH,
and I think
especially
we talked about this a lot. The set,
the set design is really good.
Really good.
I love the locker room. I love the little like waiting room, but I also love the training room. I love the little rooftop.
The training room's nice.
The little like rooftop they had at night, so cool. Also, someone brought it up. Like, I think during while Revice was airing, but someone was like, they never fight at night anymore, and we're kind of getting like teases of that. And they also kind of fought at night during the zombie episode. But
yeah,
they're starting to experiment again with sets, and I'm liking where it's going.
They don't fight at night anymore.
I'm really liking.
They
where
don't do
it's
a lot
going.
of weather stuff either. Like,
Yeah,
not a lot of rain anymore.
They only do rain when it's really important. They want it to have impact.
You wanna know what they haven't done in forever?
Hmm.
A snow fight.
Honestly, I don't remember them having a snow fight other than like Blade.
I think Blade was. It was snowing in the. It was snowing in the another Geo like fight.
And Kuga, but
it was snowing a little bit, but it wasn't like it wasn't on the ground, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
I wish they do one. I wish they do one of those again. This season it kind of looks sick, cause you got Geats and all the white.
Yeah.
And the orange would really pop. I think that'd be sick if they did another winter fight.
I just love like they're making each game feel distinct. It really feels like they're using sets that we've never seen before. Like I love it, or just locations that we've never seen before in Rider. I love the little like dock place or like boardwalk place we saw.
That one's really nice.
I love that little area. And that little water fountain place that KO and Buffa had during the middle of the episode.
I also feel like there's not been many places I've recognized aside from that one factory spot.
Even then, when they had a warehouse,
last episode was.
When they had a warehouse in the zombie episodes, it looked like a different warehouse.
Yeah, it looked that looked like, I think that one was I think they used that in Kira Major episode. Like that abandoned building where he like uses zombie for the first time. I think they've been there before, but I don't think they've been there in Rider. At least in my memory. They've been really good. I am worried though. Once I think eventually, honestly, it pains me to say this. I think they're gonna drop the game aspect, and we're just gonna go maybe the standard Rider fare. Not saying I want them to. I just kind of have a feeling, right, to shake it up, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how they work. I'm worried we'll go back to like bog standard. Oh my god, look guys, it's the trio running at a monster. Oh my god, they're in the same place that everybody else is. Oh my god, they're transforming.
I have faith that Takahashi, because I really feel I am betting my money that the entire concept or story of this show is leading up to the climax of them trying to end the game somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that's the big thing that everything will lead up to.
I sort of wonder if we're gonna get I sort of wonder, instead of them ending the game as our shakeup, that just this round ends or this game ends. You know.
Yeah.
I think it could go either way, frankly. But I do agree. I do see the climax being, okay, guys, let's destroy the Grand Prix.
Yeah. So another thing I think is interesting right now,
Mm-hmm.
that I think Geats has been really good at doing this, but like leaving enough tension for the next episode. Because I talked about it before, of like sometimes Reddit, like the preview for the next episode, kind of like gives away shit, and it's just like, okay, well, obviously that's not going to happen, so I have nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Geats has been really good of just wondering like, how are they going to get out of this? Like during the zombie arc, I was just like, okay, but like Japan and Nago are either going to get disqualified or die. Like, how are they going to get out of this?
Yeah.
And they had a clever way of getting out of it. But and for that solid week where I was just thinking hard, of just like, wow, I know, it's Kamen Rider, death means nothing, whatever, blah blah blah, to all those lame fans. But like, I was genuinely worried Nago was gonna die, or at least be out of the show for a bit. And now I feel the same thing now, because with the team switch, they already...
team switch is interesting.
Yeah,
I really feel like it could go either way.
They because they like, oh, this is another disqualification round. 2 of you are going out, and obviously Mary made it very clear that he's trying to switch to have Buffa on his team.
Mm.
And we saw a shot. We saw like I don't know if it's leaked. It's probably just from Toei and Instagram or some shit. But like a shot of Keiwa and Punk Jack like standing next to each other, like Keiwa transforming while Punk Jack stands there. So then they become a team, and so that means. Because when we had Neon and Ace on one team, and then K1 and Buff on another, that's our main 4. So that means like Mary could have just gotten disqualified and left, which I assume that's what everyone was thinking, including me.
Yeah.
But now that we have the possibility, now that the teams are switched, and we have a very clear idea of what the teams are, that means one of the main 4 has to get disqualified, whether it's Buffa or whether it's Keiwa. And so that just has me really like, because like I think I was thinking again with the zombie thing of like, how are they going to get out of this? But now I'm really thinking of like, how are they going to either make this into like a draw where no one loses, or is Buffa really going to get out next week or this week?
I got a thought. So he got that. So Mary gets the ticket, right?
Yeah.
I wonder. I don't think that there's no like hint of this. This is just my personal.
Keiwa buys a ticket himself and switches the back.
I don't either that. I wasn't thinking of that. That's a good possibility. But there's some special. There's another special condition with the ticket, and it's like if your team doesn't win, you get out over your teammate. Like you take the fall for everything, and your teammate gets to stay because if you think about it. It's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, they don't deserve to lose because you fucked up.
Exactly. They didn't want to switch. You did. You forced them to do this. So like, I could honestly see a situation where they go, okay, Buffa and Mary lost, but Mary's ticket was the cause of Buffa losing. If he was still on Kayla's team, he probably would have won. Punk, Jack, and Mary would have gotten out fine. So, I don't know if I feel like that's in a realm of possibility. I feel like that is an actual thing. I feel like that's an actual thing that could happen.
Here's my thought process, right? Because again, we kind of gotta confirm that like, as long as you don't die, you're in the next round. So even if Buffa got out, he would probably still be in the next reset.
Exactly. So it's not like he's gone.
So my thought process was, remember in the zombie episode, Ace really made a giant point of like, with Japan, of like, Japan, you would have still been in if you just played to the game instead of trying to throw.
Yeah. And
so it really feels, because he had a similar line to Buffa this week of like, this game really isn't suited for you. You're the lone wolf, but this game is about working together. And I really feel like that's going to be another case of like, if you put aside all your personal shit and just played to the game, you would have still been in. So I really feel like that's what makes me believe Buffa's gonna get out this week. And so my idea is that if Buffa does get out, even if he uses boost and everything, even if he has this big moment, now I feel like that'll be like a whole honestly, I think that would be good writing of just showing that like, oh, the writers can fuck up, or like the common writers can fuck up, and they face consequences for their shit.
Honestly, like
But
I
also
was
it would
thinking he
lead,
just solos the whole thing.
yeah,
Like he's like, fuck off, Mary. I'm doing the whole thing. That's what I think, and I think there's some credence to that because I feel like you don't see Mary in those clips or the preview
yeah.
fighting. It's just him and it's just Buff and Boost. So I legitimately wonder if it's something like that.
But that
But Buff is like, I'm soloing this. I don't give a shit about you.
that also leads me to another idea of like, well, not another idea. It's still in the same vein of Buffa losing
Mm-hmm.
and Mary being out. So if Buffa loses, that means Kawa moves on, and if that, but and again, I assume that Punk Jack, they only have Punk Jack here for this round, just because they needed someone to fill out. Like I think it'd be kind of stupid if they just had him like stick around. Like, oh yeah, our staff member is just in it. So I
I
assume.
didn't think of that. That's a good point.
So I assume after the round ends, he's either gonna leave, which also leads me to think of like, okay, that means like if they ever need, they're probably gonna need an NPC multiple times for just like certain games. So maybe that's probably how Punk Jack will just keep coming back. Maybe like it could be a running gag of like, oh, Punk Jack again. All right, sure, yeah, he's in.
Hi, Punk Jack.
Hi, Punk Jack. But that's so if Buffa does lose, and Kayla moves on, and Punk Jack disappears because he's no longer needed, that means the final round is Neon, Ace, and Kayla, which I think would be really interesting.
I sort of like them. You bring up the final round of them, that being them three. There's kind of no guarantee. I feel what the final is there an actual limit to the final round?
Well,
Like,
I assume like if it goes down to 4 or 3 or less, then it's the final round because that's what the final round was last game, with Shiro, Buffa, and Ace.
I was thinking I was thinking with that, right? My thought was that just kind of happened because everybody else was already dead, which I guess is the same argument, right? But you get what I mean. If there was more people, we would have seen them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you're right though. I feel like obviously it goes down to 2, it's going to be a final round. But I feel like there is a chance that it could just be any number, and then they just decide what a final round is.
I see that, yeah.
Like they could have just eliminated Shiro, because clearly, well, I guess no, he was performing well, even with just Arrow. I don't know. It sort of depends on that context of that game, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I think.
It's just either if they don't somehow pull some BS with like you said, Mary's ticket as a drawback, or if like they don't have like a tiebreaker or something, then that means Buffalo probably will lose and Cable will move on without Punk Jack. So it's just them 3.
Even just the obvious answer is kind of just Mary dies, but
yeah. So yeah, Mary could die, or like again the ticket would get him out. So that means again Punk Jack will still probably go away. So then we just have our main 4.
I also, you see that picture of KO and Punk Jack together. It actually seems like they're working together, well.
That'd be so funny.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, of like Mary. He didn't work with Mary because Mary's a little bit of a dick, and it was like, oh, this KO boy's nice.
This guy's nice. I'm not gonna unpromptly hit him.
I'll listen to him.
That was funny.
Oh, it's so funny that like they said
punch.
It's basically Squid Game where like the employees just have to not show their voice or personality at all. And it's just even the staff member was getting tired of Mary.
I think I'm interested to see what they do for Punk Jack. I really am, because he's a faceless dude at this point. But honestly, I've had this thought lately. We've sort of lost the whole, oh, this random guy's a common writer now. Because I was watching, me and Noel, shout out Noel, we're watching, this is a kind of a tangent, so I apologize, but we were watching Mock's introduction episode in Drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mock just literally shows up. They don't even say Kiriko has a brother in previous episodes. He just shows up, and they're like, oh yeah, Kiriko has a brother, guys. I feel like we've sort of lost that with Rider as of I always feel like all the extra riders have some sort of connection to the actual plot in a sense. Not saying Go doesn't. He does, obviously. He's Kiriko's brother, but he
just the feel of a guy showing up.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be really Punk Jack literally is just a guy showing up, which I think is funny.
I think something interesting they can do with Punk Jack and his story. Maybe since he's not an NPC, we all thought he was like an AI or something, but now he's just a quiet staff member. It'd be interesting if his story is like, oh man, I'm a staff member. I never get to have a wish because I'm busy working this game, and you all get the chance to have a wish, but I don't. I want to play the game, and so maybe that could lead to him getting Monster.
I do wonder if he'll become like Monster. Obviously implies like he's gonna be. I feel like gonna be not a dark rider, but I don't know.
Morally gray, maybe.
Morally gray, on the bad side, whatever you want to put it, right? But I don't think he's going to be an outright villain or, like, go crazy or anything. I do wonder, like, what... he has to come back to get that. He has a special... He's got the cape and everything, so he is, like, part of our main cast of riders. I just sort of wonder, like, what it entails, you know what I mean? Because, like, we don't know... he's just a dude. We don't even know what he looks like. He doesn't talk. It's an interesting choice for like our other main rider. Do you get what I mean? Not calling him a main rider, but like a
main cast
part
rider.
Of the main group.
He's a main cast rider.
Yeah, basically. I was beating around the bush to find the words.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's really interesting me, and more so now that we're like talking about it. Like, he's really piqued my interest.
The thing I would do, like, again, I think how I would do it is that he's tired of just sitting on the side and helping operate the games and wants a chance at getting a wish.
I like that.
Because especially this episode kind of hints that, like, his personality is trying to subdue just not being annoyed by other people and being tired of them. Because he had a tiny little, cute little outburst.
That was funny. I actually really like... I liked how the helmet looks. I don't know why. It's just appealing. I also think they designed Punk Jack first, 100%, because of just how the eyes are. Like, that's definitely supposed to be Jack-o'-lantern.
Which makes the others feel weird in comparison.
I love how Mary's like, oh, alright, fine, Halloween boy, or whatever he called him.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. Just gives him the shield. I thought this was cool. I love how, like, interested he looked in the shield. I don't know, maybe it's because, he's a worker. He's never seen what they do, or he's like, finally, power. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I like even if Kay was not the focus of the episode, they still kind of add more things to him that I love. And I like that they established...
It's sort of like a funnel.
Yeah, I
funnel things through him.
I love that they kind of established, like, how compassionate Keiwa is. Because, again, like I said in one of the other episodes, of, like, people kind of really hyped up how nice Keiwa was, of, like, being an uwu baby, when, like, in truth, he's just a normal guy. Like, he can get just as annoyed of other people like anyone else can. But definitely what sets him aside from the others is that it's that little... just having that compassion at all. And that really makes him distinct from the other characters. Because, we haven't seen him really have it towards Ace yet. He had it for Ginpen 100%. He had it for Neon. He was mainly the one trying to help her out. And we see him for Buffa. Even if he he literally saw this man Buffa laugh off a human death the first time he ever saw him. And he's still like, "Are you okay, man? Like, is there shit that happened? Do you need to talk?"
Keiwa sort of feels like, this is gonna sound wrong, but he sort of feels like everyone else, in a sense, has something about them that's, like, dialed up, right? Mm-hmm. And so does Keiwa, but it's not a thing that should be unnaturally dialed up. Like, it's not a weird thing. Like, Ace is being an asshole, and, like, his whole showmanship, like, that's dialed up, right? And not so much just their personalities, but going into, like, Buffa's aggressive, and Neon's, like, an influencer, but, like, also, like, her stuff with her mom, and, like, the family stuff, that's dialed up too. Like, that's, I think, exaggerated, the words I'm looking for. I'm not saying what Neon goes through is exaggerated or not realistic. You get what I mean? Like, it's played up more, I feel. But with Keiwa, he doesn't really have any of those elements. He's literally just a guy. But the thing that's played up about him is his want for world peace, which is, realistic, right?
Yeah.
But, like, no one actually goes, I want world peace. Like, people say they want it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I had that thought the other day. And I thought it was interesting.
And I've been thinking this entire time while we were talking of like what ninja could mean for Keiwa. And I think so obviously we've had this like kind of slow burn with Keiwa the past couple episodes of him slowly learning to accept of like what it means to be a member of the Grand Prix. Because you know, like he used to stick to only like saving humans. When he actually has to fight monsters, like his hand shakes, he's shaking. But in this recent episode, I don't think he was shaking as much, but he's definitely gotten more used to it. And so
he even pulls off a finish.
Yeah, what I think Ninja is gonna be, I think Ninja when he gets Ninja is going to be a full on acceptance of okay. If I want world peace, I have to fight. And so the whole thing is that, especially with like all the video diaries and stuff, it's he wants to protect the world in secret, like a ninja.
Ah, I see. Oh, and his motivation, subtle.
So yeah, that's what I think it could possibly be. And then like, when he fully accepts that or realizes that, that's probably when he's gonna get ninja within like the next couple of episodes.
Do you feel something is gonna need? Do you think like, all right, say like Mary dying or even Buffa getting kicked out, right, or losing rather? Do you think that's gonna be something that sets him off, or do you think we're gonna see like a dedicated?
I think if something happens to Buffa, that's what's gonna make him think. Because
are you saying this as a shipper?
Yes, but also no. Because I think it's interesting. No, I think it's also because like it's very clear that Keiwa noticed that Buffa has like there's something wrong with him. like something
wrong with this guy.
Something bad happened to this fella, and so it's like Buffa, he's not entirely bad, and so I don't know. It could also work with Mary, but I'm just saying that because Keiwa hasn't really talked to Mary outside of the whole points banter. So
I agree.
I think it'd just be interesting. I'm just like, wow, that guy wasn't all bad, but like he just gets to be out of the Grand Prix because fuck him. Like, man, I really do have to fight the world.
Buffa.
I have to save the world.
Save the world, save the life.
But yeah, Geats was really good this week.
Hang on, let me check. We hit our allotted time. We did. Okay.
We talked for a while, but it's okay.
We always hit a nice 30 minutes on common.
But it's okay. What? Like, oh my god, I called you Keiwa. I would say
I am Keiwa. You're right.
I've been thinking about Keiwa a lot this episode. But Jacob, final thoughts on Geats episode 5.
I'm actively looking forward to the resolution of this one because I didn't put as much thought into it how it. Good one, Jacob. No, I haven't. I didn't put as much thought into how it was gonna end until we had this conversation. So I'm actually really looking forward to what they're gonna do because like in my head I'm like, all right, they switch partners, I guess. Okay, that's fine, whatever. They're gonna be fine. But now then we talk about it and I'm like, oh wait, yeah, that kind of fucks everything up. So I think I'm looking forward to this. I think it's gonna be really good. What do you look? Are you looking for? What do you think?
Again, Geats has been the first season in a while where the episode ends and I'm just like, what? I'm flabbergasted, and I'm heavily I am heavily thinking about how is this gonna resolve? How are they gonna get out of this? Mm-hmm. Like, because with Revice, with Saber, with stuff, like it was kind of predictable a lot of the time of how things are gonna end up.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think, like I said the last couple weeks, Geats is doing really good at making. Like I believe this is a Reiwa season.
You want to know what else? Reiwa has brought us? Movies.
They have brought us movies, even if it's kind of weird with how it's been or how it started off as 01. They do have movies for us.
But actually, there's another movie that came out.
There's another movie that came out this year, and we've been waiting. A lot of the fandom has been waiting to see it all year, and it finally came out.
Came out. Air quotes. Air quotes. It's bad. It's like in like. What was that even in? What was that? I don't know. Was it like 48p or something? 480? I don't know.
But basically, Shin Ultraman came out.
Shin Ultraman.
Shin Ultraman,
Anno.
Hideaki Anno, and
Who's the other
Shinji
guy?
Higuchi.
There you go. I didn't want to get his name wrong, but I knew it was Shinji something.
Oh.
Another entry in Anno's Shin franchise, or whatever it's called.
I'd like to note, before we give our opinions, Jacob is an Ultraman guy. I am not.
So, and I'll preface that. I will. Before we even get into it more, I haven't seen 66. I've seen Tiga, Dyna, and then all of New Gen. That's what I've seen.
My Ultraman experience comes from seeing Geats 3 times, and that's it.
I see. This is why I like this guy, because I've seen Geats twice, so it works out.
I like Geats, but like the previous night before we recorded this, I decided that I was gonna watch another Ultra, and what I've decided, I am watching multiple episode 1s and seeing which one I liked more. I've seen Orb. I plan on watching Tika tonight, and then
Are we gonna tell them what we're gonna watch for the podcast?
There's a possibility we might be watching an Ultra show for the podcast and talking about that weekly as our secondary topic.
And if you guys are interested, let us know.
Let us know.
Maybe give us a suggestion. I have one in mind, but we'll see if the comments give us a suggestion.
If anyone does comment, if no one comments, we'll just be going with Jacobs. And even if you recommend us something, I'll probably still go with Jacobs because I want to watch that one.
I also want to just watch that one. I've actually been looking forward to watching that one because everyone says, Jacob, this is like the show for you. So I'm looking forward to that.
Even one of my Ultraman friends, Mako, I'm pretty sure, shout out Mako,
Shout out Mako.
I'm pretty sure they recommended me that season because they think I'd like
and
it.
You like the theme song, so it works out.
I really do. But yeah, Shin Ultraman.
We could do a special version of the pod. Wow, we could do a special intro with the song.
Yeah, Super Raya is lenient about that stuff, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, hey, I got away with it. But Shin Ultraman. Oh, wait, another preface. I don't think I've watched anything else of Anno. So
Me neither. I was gonna say I haven't seen Evangelion. I haven't seen Shin Godzilla.
I haven't seen Shin Godzilla. I actually a couple days ago I watched two Godzilla movies. I watched Godzilla versus Space Godzilla and versus Destroya. Those were okay, but I kind of got a feel
basically
for what's going on.
The preface for me is that everything about this movie are things that I have not seen nor have I ever cared about.
It should not do anything for you.
Yeah. But I'll be first to give my opinions to switch it up. I am in love with Shin Ultraman. I watched it with friends Peter and Chris.
Clapping sound effects?
No, I did not actually. I didn't watch it with friend Peter, but I watched it with friend Chris. I watched it with my homie Dom.
My Dom.
It's such a fun 2 hours that I just got to sit down and watch a story about Ultraman unfold, and I'm just like, because again, I don't care about Ultraman. The only thing I've seen is Geats. But like for the rest of the series, I struggle to get into Ultraman.
Most people do.
And it's just like, wow, this movie with its story and the characters and like mostly just like the theme, the OST, ooh, so many things about this movie pull me in and make me care about Ultraman so deeply.
I love that.
The biggest thing I said to my friends, or I haven't said it on Twitter yet because I'm pretty sure I specifically didn't say this for Twitter because I wanted to say it here.
Aww.
Strangely enough, Shin Ultraman makes me feel nostalgic for Ultraman when I never have been. Like, I know for a fact I hold zero nostalgia for Ultraman, especially 66. But, like, just watching it made me feel like I have. Especially with the fight scenes at the end.
Yeah. I agree. Totally.
If I had any problem with the movie,
I'm just enjoying you gushing.
Yeah, if I had any, it's weird. It's weird. I established for so many times that I don't care about Ultraman. Yet, like, I'm in love with this movie. I think it could very easily be one of my favorite Toku movies because like I rewatched it twice, even though I saw it like 2 days ago. I've already rewatched it twice. It's the only problem I could possibly have, and it's not even that much of a problem. It suffers from what I call Chainsaw Man pacing.
Ooh, do tell.
Chainsaw Man pacing is essentially the plot is currently happening, right? And then you blink, and for somehow the plot is completely different. Somehow we've moved on to a completely new section. You don't know how the fuck you got here, but you're still in for the ride. And I think Chainsaw Man pacing, either while it's a funny joke, it works for Chainsaw Man, and I think it kind of works here. Friend Chris put it best. I'm gonna quote you, Chris. It feels like they shoved like an entire Ultra show into 2 hours, like a 60-episode Ultraman show into 2 hours.
I agree.
And
I wouldn't say they shoved the whole season, but I did a little research. I was I was on the TV tropes. I was on the wikis. I'm not afraid to admit it. I was looking stuff up. I was reading a plot synopsis before we started, so I could get my bearings right. They took a lot of this is not my own words, so but just from what I've gathered, it seems like they took select episodes, and not select exact episodes, but they took elements from episodes, monsters and the such, and even who's the guy with the beta box? Melphis, yeah. He is 1-to-1 what he was. That I actually really like his character, his whole kind of reversal of Ultraman's thing.
Yeah.
But I should actually say what I thought of the movie.
I was gonna, go ahead, and then I'll get to my thing about Chainsaw Man pacing in the movie.
It was all right. It was fine.
See, that's why I really wanted to preface everything of like, you're the Ultra guy and I'm not, because it's so funny how different our opinions are.
It's I don't know how to explain it, because I wrote this down. So, Shin Ultraman, I don't know how to explain this properly, but it feels like, so Anno loves original Ultraman, right?
Yeah.
It feels like, to me, it's just weird, because it's like, you want to do a remake or a reboot, right? But you're kind of just keeping everything the same, which isn't a bad thing. But if you want to put your own stamp,
like it feels more like a reimagining rather.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. It's just odd, because I feel like even with Shin Godzilla feels so radically different, but it also is kind of the same thing of giant monster attacks Japan. I know that's base level, but Shin Godzilla keeps the politics aspect of like, oh, nuclear weapons, blah, 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 whatever it's about. I haven't seen it, but you get what I'm talking about.
Legalize nuclear bombs,
Shin Godzilla,
yeah.
And obviously, I don't think Ultraman doesn't have that deep of stuff about it. I don't think it does personally, but there is elements here like, the whole thing with the aliens and stuff.
Honestly, no, something I saw on Twitter that people think like this movie has nothing to do with politics, and that I guess that's Anno's thing. I honestly feel like people who say that like kind of forgot about the movie, because half the movie is literally like, and then we cut to we cut to the United Nations, and they're like, okay, but what we're gonna do about Ultraman?
I do like, I really like the effects are good.
I love it.
I like the kind of, I don't want to say low tech, but they're going for like the kind of.
We talked about this the other day of like the effects. I think the CGI. Personally, I think the CG is good, but
I also think it's good.
At the same time,
I don't think it's bad at all.
It really feels like, because again, especially like you can feel it with a lot of the aesthetics, like the opening title card, or them using the rise at the end. They want you to feel like it's Showa, especially like all the stuff I just mentioned, plus the OST, how it feels like it's written straight from like a 60s toku show.
It's such an interesting.
They purposely want you to feel like it's Showa, and I think it really works.
I think my biggest gripe is maybe just I feel like the characters aren't that strong. That's not. It's weird because I like. Not so much I like the actors, but I like what they're going for in a sense. Especially like, what's her name? Asami?
Yeah.
I like her relationship with is his name Shinji? Is it
Shinji Kaminaga?
Yeah, Kaminaga.
I remember his full name because I mostly just called him Kaminaga.
Yeah, I like the attempt they do. I don't want to call it an attempt because they do. I like what they're going for with them too, but it just doesn't feel like the movie gives enough time to it. It feels like because they barely interact. I feel. I don't want to. I only watched it once, but I mean,
that kind of falls into what I want to talk about with the pacing.
Yeah, that the pacing is really weird because it's I don't know. I'm more of a fan of like they're vignettes. That's what this movie is. It's a lot of vignettes tied together by Ultraman himself and just the overarching thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's just I don't want to. It doesn't feel like too much. It just feels kind of all over the place at times. But I like the messages the vignettes give.
Yeah.
And I think the ending is the last like 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Zeton,
I love it.
Those were really.
I love all the stuff with Zeton and the Plonk Brain and Zoffy and the music and all of it.
I love everything with Ultraman
especially M87 by Kenshi Yonezu, whatever his name is, the singer. Good song.
I am glad though the strongest character in this movie is Ultraman. I think that's.
Yeah. I was actually really surprised by that because I heard in like the original 66. Ultraman is more so like he's kind of just a fella there. Like he doesn't feel like the main character because he has the human host, and he feels like the main character. So Ultraman's just kind of there.
I don't remember what the main guy from 66 is. I feel like a fraud.
I think his name was also Shinji.
It might be.
But yeah, like
Ghia put his name on the. Can editor Ghia put his name somewhere?
Yeah, I'll fact check us in the comments or something. But Yeah, I hear.
We're going to talk about the pacing.
I was saying first in the original. Yeah, I hear Ultraman isn't really a character, so it's surprising that he's basically a driving force of the plot. But Chainsaw. So again, here the Chainsaw Man pacing. How I felt during the movie the first time I watched it was like, okay, we set up the premise with the kaiju, right? Like the first 5 minutes we have the kaiju, and it's like okay, then we set up the team, the special like kaiju team, and then boom, Ultraman flies in. With like no color on him, he's completely gray, and I assumed that meant he didn't have a host yet, because that's kind of like the thing me and Dom were thinking about, like, oh, he's gonna get the red once he has a human host or something, which then explains the color timer and everything. But and it says like, okay, yeah, Ultraman, he hasn't had a host yet, he beats the monster, and then he flies away. Next shot, we see Shinji Kaminaga walking in. It's like, this dude's weird. He's obviously fucking... Like, he is so obviously Ultraman. He acts like a goddamn robot for his first ever scene. So it's just like, okay, wait, is he Ultraman yet? Or is he going to become Ultraman? Boom. He's been Ultraman for a bit. Okay, sure, whatever. And so we're just chilling. And then they're like, alright, yeah, sure, he's Ultraman. But the cast doesn't know that yet. And then boom! Alien comes down from space. It's honestly funniest part of the movie to me. They trust this fucking weird looking alien.
Dude in the trench coat. With the
he literally has a trench coat and a fedora, and everyone trusted him. That is insane.
It's a little side. I didn't know he was imitation Ultraman. I thought that was just like a random alien. I didn't know it was him. Maybe it's different in 66, but I didn't know like.
So yeah,
it was not. I didn't know it was gonna be him. I also didn't know Imitation Ultraman was in the movie.
So yeah, it's just boom. All right, he's here, and then boom. All right, he's actually like fucking over the world, and then boom. All right, Ultraman kills him, and then boom. All right, next guy comes in.
All right, here's the same guy again, basically, but nicer.
So yeah, that's why. Like the pacing is just boom, like boom, boom. Kaiju.
That's an odd choice.
Yeah, boom, kaiju,
to have
boom.
Two of the same character, basically.
Boom, kaiju.
Not
boom,
that
Ultraman.
they're similar, but like. I actually really like, Melphas?
Yeah, Malefilis, or Sana.
Malefilis. the guy who ruined Spider-Man.
Mephiles.
No, that's Mephisto. I'm surprised at how much I liked his character, because he's Ultraman, but he sees humanity as more like a toy. If anything, it doesn't seem like...
I actually really like the scene where he's talking to Shinji or / Lipia on like the swing.
I love that they gave him a name.
Yeah, me too.
For the longest... I'm sorry for cutting you off again. But for the longest time, I always had this thing. It was like, okay,
So
man.
yeah, everyone has their name like Zoffy and Zero and Geat and blah blah blah, and he's just Ultraman.
And I get like they all name themselves after him, but at the same time, he was just some dude. Like, why are you naming yourself?
Like no, because like it never made sense. Because like initially, right? Like didn't Zoffy exist before he did? Like even
yes, Zoffy is like the leader of the Ultra Brothers.
yeah. So Zoffy was always around. So it wouldn't make sense if he's like,
Zoffy's
all right,
technically better than
you're Ultraman. I should be Ultraman Zoffy. Like no, that's fucking stupid.
No, I'm just Zoffy. I love that like the black and gold. It's a departure, but I think it.
Oh, I love it. I really love it. Also, Zoffy is so unintentionally funny in this movie.
With the
like, there's so much scene like
the close up.
The close up. It was like no bitches.
No bitches.
And the scene of him just like floating in the forest.
I was actually reading up on this, and like apparently that whole thing of him being antagonistic is actually like.
It's like a scrapped idea.
Yeah, no, it was the thing I read. It was misinformation, like the whatever the.
Oh yeah, someone was like Zoffy released Zeton, and it was like, oh, actually that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. He's actually just his superior, but I think that's a cool change. I saw that he's voiced by like some other guy who voiced him in another thing, which is cool.
But, yeah. Honestly, this movie made me more interested in Ultraman lore than I ever was. Like it gave it to me in such a way that's like, okay, now I'm actually pretty interested in learning. But no, like we said earlier, of like Mephiles being like Lepia but good, or in a different like way of how he sees humanity. I really love the scene where it's him trying to convince him to work alongside him, and it's just Ultraman is dressed in white, but he's not swinging on the swing. And then Mephiles is dressed in all black, but he's all playful, he's all cheery, he's laid back, he's just messing around. It's such a good scene of just to show like the divide between them and like how they treat humanity despite being on clearly like evil and good sides.
I know, he's so evil. He made a giantess.
Hideaki on his disguise finish.
She's kind of bad though, low key. I agree with him. I mean, what? Shut up, Jacob.
But yeah, no, like, again with the pacing, it really just, like, this... I got 40 minutes into the movie, and I felt like I missed half the movie somehow.
Yeah!
I was like, how did we get here?
I think... I think it is a fault, because if me and you both agree, I feel like it is a problem. It's not just, like... I don't want to call it a problem. It's an issue, rather.
For me, it is a problem, but I just, like... Everything about the movie, of how it's composed, how it's written, how it's directed, all of that is too good for me to say like, oh, it makes me like it brings it down for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's not even. I don't want to say it's not even fast paced. It's just weirdly paced.
Yeah,
I think it is
because it's just like, okay, Kaiju, Ultraman, host, Zarab, everyone, the whole world finds out he's Ultraman.
I'm not. I think I would say an issue I genuinely have. I think it is weird that you go back to back on two villains who are like, hey guys, I'm just a peaceful villain.
No, I pointed that out the first time I was watching it on Discord, call it the homies. But like when Mephiles came around, and it's just like literally a day ago we had this exact same thing of an alien coming down and going, hey Japanese government, you can trust me, and you guys are doing it again. Why did you trust another alien?
Because he didn't even tell them about the beta box at that point, I don't think. Or no, he did, because that was his whole thing, because he came down with Asami or whatever, and he fixed her.
Yeah.
But it's still just a weird choice to have them back to back, I feel.
Yeah, it's just like, you're like, come on, guys, Zerub was like 2 days ago. Why are we doing this again? It's obviously going to turn out bad.
And he doesn't even get a proper conclusion.
Oh no! I think it's really funny because like
that he just leaves.
They set up the whole thing.
I think it's funny
because like obviously they set up the whole thing of like on the planet of light we do our own shit. We don't interfere with anyone else, or else we break the rules and they have to die. And it's just like even Mephiles knew that. So when he saw Zoffy not on the planet of light and on Earth instead, he was just like, "Oh fuck, I gotta get out of here.
I gotta go. Give me my box back."
And he's just like, all right, yeah, Ultraman, you're right. I'm gonna go.
How do you feel about them getting rid of the? How do you feel about the color timer changing to like, it just his colors on his suit?
I think
I think it's a cool change.
in general, I always thought Shin's design was just weird, but like that's kind of like what it's going for with the aesthetic of the movie. Like it's a little bit uncanny, but it's also supposed to feel a tiny bit realistic.
That's the word I feel about the CG. It's uncanny. That's what it
It
is.
feels uncanny, but it's also supposed to like, oh, it's kind of, it feels like realistic. Like if you saw Ultraman in real life, it'd probably be what he looked like or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fun idea. It's a fun idea to make him distinct from 66.
I agree.
It does end up feeling weird sometimes of like, oh, it shifts to like a weird dark green.
Yeah, I don't get why that. It's kind of funny because like, the color timer goes in reverse. It starts as like the weird blue, green, whatever you want to call it. It's a blue, obviously, but for the purposes of this, we'll call it a blue green, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it flashes to red. It kind of goes in reverse because it goes from the green. It goes from the red to the green. That was loud. Excuse the coughing. But yeah, I think it's neat.
Yeah. Again, this movie really made me like interested in Ultraman lore, because it presents it in such an interesting way to me, where I'm connecting the dots, like something. It really made me curious the entire time, even though it never directly, I think, answers it. Of just like how exactly does having a host work as an Ultra, because they kept having scenes of like Ultraman in the forest looking at Shinji's body. It's just like, wait, if that's his body there, then how did he host it? Like, did he make a copy of it?
Got it, but then like you made me question it again. Like, I don't really get it now.
But then they had the scene later on of like the body disappearing. So it's like, oh, is it like a metaphorical thing of like?
That's what
it's like. Is it like, oh, Shinji laying dead on the ground? Is that maybe it's supposed to reflect something of like Ultraman's view on humanity? Or like maybe like a skewed perception of it,
or even like acceptance of like his thoughts.
Yeah, because
I think he looks at it, right, and Zophi's not there. I think he looks at it before Zophi even gets there. I think it kind of a lot of it blends together at points, I feel, but besides the point.
So it's just like and so then like I do think it is like, oh, he's a host in the body, and Shinji's still alive, but and so that just leads the entire time of like, the body on the ground was like it's supposed to be a visual representation of something in his mind. Which again, I love the storytelling in this movie, especially the visual storytelling. I think it's really good.
It's very good visually.
Shinji Higuchi did a good job with the directing, and especially
I feel bad that I feel like a lot of
people on Twitter are really treating it like it's only Anno's.
And I did it too. I will fully admit, but I feel bad because I think with the not a problem. I think it's more just
Anno only did the screenplay.
You can't. I feel like you can't really like tell what Shinji himself did. And I haven't seen anything else he did, right? But I don't know. Maybe it's something like that where it's clearly more Anno's passion coming through. Not to like fault on Shinji, but you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It might be something like that, but I can't really judge for sure because I haven't seen anything else. I haven't seen anything else these other two haven't done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's actually cool that they made this like a soft sequel to Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
Because apparently one of the guys one of the government guys is played by the same guy from Shin Godzilla, which is cool. And actually, speaking of the actors, and going back to Ultraman himself for a second, I could not for like the first 10 minutes or 5 minutes figure out, okay, which one's supposed to be Ultraman.
That's so funny. That's so funny because I could instantly tell. The second Shinji
was the nerd guy or it was him.
The second Shinji walked in.
Pretty boy.
The second Shinji walked in and it was all quiet and weird, and like they made it a point that he was quiet and weird. I was like, all right, yeah, he's Ultraman.
I just thought it was funny. I was like, is this guy Ultraman? Or is it this one? Because for some reason, I remember the guy in the trailers being younger.
Yeah.
Beside the point.
Something I think is really interesting of like in comparison to 66, if like Ultraman isn't really a character. Like originally Ultraman isn't really a character. It's just that he feels more so just like a power. Like, I guess a better comparison would be like Mr. Belt, but if Mr. Belt just didn't talk that much in Drive. But, he's still obviously a character. And in comparison to this, where they completely turned that on its head, because I don't remember if Shinji actually ever had a line, like Shinji himself. Because I had the realization by the end of the movie of like, wait, Ultraman can talk this entire time. Like, he's been talking through Shinji's body the entire time, and straight up said like, oh, Shinji, inside of our head, Shinji is thinking this. So that just leads to think, oh, the entire time, because we don't see Shinji before Lepia uses his body as the host. The entire time, it's Ultraman talking. And so the second Ultraman leaves his body and Shinji goes back to Earth, that's directly when the movie ends. He doesn't get to speak. So it's really interesting compared to 66.
I wish there was kind of an epilogue, but at the same time, I guess, in a sense, our point, the point was to see what Ultraman does.
It's really interesting in the comparison to 66 that Ultraman not only is a constant presence, but he is the main character compared to the host.
Him and the original host going, or like him saying goodbye to the original host. I don't think I think the original host doesn't even remember anything that happened.
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's something weird like that. I could be wrong. I probably am. I probably should have researched.
Also, in terms of like a reimagining of the original, and like making it feel uncanny or like more realistic to the world, I saw after this movie, I had to look up what Zedon originally looked like, and I like seeing what the actual suit is compared to what it is in the movie is so disappointing. I'm sorry, it probably would have been better if I was an Ultraman fan beforehand, but like in the movie, Zedon is such a scary concept. It's such a scary concept of like this giant robot thing that it slowly builds itself in like I love the aesthetic of Zedon, of how futuristically robotic it is.
It's funny that you say you're afraid, because I think I've seen stuff of like people saying they used to be afraid of Zeton, but that sort of reminds me of this thing from Doctor Who. I remember like how they have like the doctor has like companions all the time, like people he goes on adventures with. So one of like the older ones, like from like 7 or 6, the 7th or 6th Doctor rather, one of them was like, or she was like, we used to actually be very afraid of the monsters. We used to actually run away, but now like all the newer ones are running towards them, and you just saying, oh, I was really afraid, just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
I know it's a weird comparison, but
no,
I
that's
actually
fun.
like that they kept the original Zeton sounds in it, because like,
oh yeah,
he's low key one of my favorites, especially the G fusion with him and I think it's King Joe. I think it is King Joe. I love that one. That one's like one's my absolute favorite kaiju, but I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah, no, like it's such a scary concept of like a highly futuristic robot that you have basically zero hope of. Like, if Ultraman, like the purpose is supposed to be like, usually you won't have an Ultra there, or even then Ultras can't really do anything to it. So it's just an unstoppable robot that slowly builds itself in the sky, and then once it's fully built, it then has like a 24-hour charge up of this fucking laser beam. And the scary part about it all is that you can see it from your planet on the ground because it is just that big. Like I didn't feel the scale of it until Lipia flew into space himself to go fight it, and he's basically like the size. And like he's basically the size of a fucking ant compared to Zenon. Like it is scary.
You know what? So speaking of that final scene for a second, one, I think it's cool they saved the actual Riot.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
Not only for the end, but it's also like an attack too.
Yes, no, I was gonna get to that.
It's so cool.
Too. It's funny it plays like twice, right? But then when they revert Shinji back to human, it plays in reverse.
Yeah, it plays in reverse. That's really good.
Hilarious.
That's so good. Like, all right, Zoffy's like, all right, time to spread you from their body.
And then 3, I think this is the first time I've seen a Showa Ultra like hold their transformation device.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
Ultra I want to say maybe, I don't know, Nexus? I don't know. I'm probably wrong. I'm not counting the ones that have it already on them, like Max and Mebius. But I think that's the first time I've seen anything like pre-Tiga or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's weird seeing it because he just pushes the button like normal.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, that one is scary. Cause like like someone pointed out to me after I watched the movie, but like, you know how big something has to be that you can see it from the ground through your planet's atmosphere, and even then, not only can you see it through your planet's atmosphere, but it still looks big. Like, for that to be that, like, if he was the size of Ultraman, and maybe they very possibly they could have seen it, but it would have been like a tiny speck in the sky. But God, they could see all the details of it from Earth. That is so scary.
I remember reading like an entry, and I guess so you know how he's huge, obviously. You covered that. But I guess in the original, he has like a 1,000,000,000,000 fireball attack, and that's just impossible to do at his scale, right?
Yeah.
So somebody made the point of this is probably because a scientist did that. Like a scientist researched like how hot it is and how big you would have to be to do that, right? So like somebody said this is probably a reference to what that scientist figured out. And I'm paraphrasing a lot here. I'm probably
Oh yeah, no, it definitely feels
something like that.
It definitely really feels like a lot of the stuff that went into this movie is like, you guys, like, it really feels like, oh, Ultra fandom. Do you remember this? Like, it really feels like it was made by a fan to have fun with fans.
Mm.
And I really just enjoy, like, I think the fact that I'm not even calling him Ultraman a majority of the time, I'm calling him Lipia, that I think that proves to show how much I actually really enjoy him as a character. Like, I really love him as a main character here.
He's really
like, because also I've seen Geats, right? And all I know with Ultraman is like the base concept that some of them have a host, but some of them can just be born with like an Ultra form and a human form or whatever, like Riku.
It's a whole thing.
And so the most I've seen is like, oh, Leto and Zero. That's the most I have to go off of when it comes to like an Ultraman having a host. But just to see how, like, the extent of how deep an Ultra can be as like a person with Lepia, and this whole thing of like, I really love. I think the biggest thing I love is just he has such a weird feeling of humanity basically seeing him as a god, but the whole thing ends up with like, yeah, I may be a god to them, but I can still very much die. Like I am ultimately no better than them.
He literally goes like, what does he say? Accepting death is part of being
human. I love that line so much.
There was another line I really liked, but I forget what it was. I think it's right after. It's the scene right before he fights Imitation Ultra. He says something. I forget what it was, but I thought it was really good. I don't remember now, and I'm pissed.
Was it the part where Asami saves him and he's like, I did this because we're buddies.
Basically that. It's that whole scene. I thought that was really good. Their relationship's really good. I just wish there was more to it. Just a little bit more time on it. Because apparently, I was reading this, they had a kiss that was cut.
That makes sense.
She goes up to him at the end. They cut.
That makes sense because I saw a Shin Ultraman trailer that like I think it was for like an English audience, and like in the trailer it said, "Get ready for adventure and romance." I was like, there was no romance in that movie. What the fuck are they talking about?
I actually dead ass expected them to kiss, but they didn't do it, which I'm kind of surprised. Or I'm surprised they did it, but then they got rid of it.
I wanted to talk about this because it doesn't feel obvious, but it's kind of obvious, but it's not too obvious.
Mm.
The director, writer, all of that, they had to have some kind of like attraction for Asami. There's no way.
I can't blame them.
They had there were so many times in that little giantess scene where we got close to some weird angles, and her entire gimmick is that she slaps herself on the ass and slaps other people on the ass to get them pumped up.
I thought it was really funny.
She slapped Shinji's ass. But like, all right, go fight Zedon.
Then he loses.
That honestly, I think that scene, not like in terms of writing, it's so good. It's so good in terms of writing because again, it falls back into the entire thing of like, I'm ultimately no better than the humans and I want to learn from them. But at the same time, it's so funny that everyone's like, you got this, Ultraman. We're putting all our faith in you. The government finally trusts you. Go, Ultraman! And he's like, okay, fine, sure, whatever. Flies into space, gets absolutely destroyed.
Gets his theme song going.
Gets shot into the ocean. Like, and then
he's falling back in human form. And
then he just
I don't care.
And it just abruptly cuts to the hospital, and I forgot what the exact line was, but someone in the hospital room was just like, "Damn, you fucking lost." I think that's so funny. It's so good. But yeah, I think as a whole, not only is this movie great, but I heard that this is going to be a trilogy of movies, so I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see the other two.
Being only Ultra guy in the podcast, so what it is? So basically,
I know the second one's supposed to be Return of Ultraman.
Anno basically wrote a three-part pitch. So the first one was Shin Ultraman. The second part is either supposed to be Return of Ultraman or it's just a sequel. It's an outright sequel, right? I don't think it'll be so the weird part of all this, the third part is Shin Ultra 7.
Yeah.
But 7 is the second Ultra series, and then it goes Return of Ultraman. So I don't think the second part would be because Return of Ultraman. Going a little bit over here with the explanation, because Return of Ultraman is Ultraman Jack. The other guy who looks like Ultraman.
Yeah.
That's not Zophie. He's a murderer. Basically, you gotta look up his kill compilations. Like he massacres these monsters, but that's besides the point. I don't think this second. I'm going overboard. I'm sorry. I don't think the second part would be Return of Ultraman, but that's basically what it is. It's Shin Ultraman. Sequel to Shin Ultraman, and then Shin Ultra 7, which I find odd because everyone knows Anno's favorite is Return of Ultraman, which is cool. But
yeah,
and he made that fan film. But yeah, that's that whole thing.
Yeah, so
and honestly, I do want more of this.
I'm excited to see the sequels or possible trilogy become, but I'm also it makes me even more excited to see Shin Ultraman. I mean Shin Kamen Rider.
Oh really? Wait, you haven't seen it yet?
God damn. Yeah, Shin Kamen Rider. Because like if they put the same amount of like Showa love into that as they did this, I feel like I'll love that movie too.
To talk about Shin Kamen Rider actually is what made me think about the whole. This is just kind of the original, but like. Just again, because like Shin Kamen Rider really seems like it's the original again, even to the point that the lead actor also got injured, just like
yeah.
Not saying like he did it on purpose, not saying like that, but it's what I mean. I'm not so much saying it's a negative that it's just the original again, but it's just kind of an odd choice when you're doing your own vision. But I guess his vision is just the original again, so I don't know. I'm not trying to harp on that. It's just something I keep thinking about with this one especially, because it just really feels like he watched Ultraman and was like, all right, I'm gonna do this, which isn't really a bad thing. It was enjoyable, but it's odd. It's odd,
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going overboard with it, but I don't really care, cause I just enjoy yapping my mouth.
But yeah, Shin Ultraman is great. I love it. Ultimately, it has inspired me to consume more Ultra and hope.
Did it make you feel larger than life?
Yeah, I think it did.
Did you want to? Did it take you higher?
It made me want to jump up. Here we go, Kakugoki Menuset.
Did it make you want to pull the trigger?
I don't know about that. It made me want to chant some names, maybe though.
Did it make you want to wake up Decker?
I don't know, man.
Good one, Jacob.
Actually, we could also do that too. I could maybe watch Decker one of these weeks.
I would be down for that because I'm enjoying that show.
I heard a lot of good things about it. But yeah, no, Shin Ultraman, great movie, great directing. I love all the fights. I love all the kaiju. I love the
fights are actually really good. I don't think we talked about that enough. The fighting is good.
Especially the final fight with how they eventually beat Zedon, and just a general seeing Zedon blast Ultraman out of the sky.
Oh, the black hole sequence.
The black hole sequence and him trying to fly out of it was so
The
cool.
shit. I remember I was reading. All right, you want to know how deep I got with this? I was reading Letterboxd reviews.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, it looks like they try. It looks like the CG artists were dragging. They were shaking Ultraman around with a mouse. I thought it was so funny.
No,
it's
like, so funny. If you, all the viewers and you, Jacob, if you look up on YouTube right now, Shin Ultraman, there are 2 different videos. And both of them are like, oh, so basically this is Shin Ultraman, and like spoilers, and it's just a guy. He recreated both of his favorite scenes in like SFM Source Filmmaker, and he did the one of him trying to get out the black hole, and it almost looks exactly like the fucking movie.
I got.
It almost looks exactly like the actual scene in the movie.
What am I looking up? Just Shin Ultraman.
Yeah, I'll show you after. But it's so funny that it almost looks like a 1-to-1. But oh my god, yeah. Oh, another thing with like the lore, because again they really try to make it feel like Showa, and the big thing about Showa sometimes is that they'll just take the toy of the Ultra or like the Rider, because they did in Rider 2, and they just like film it like on a string moving around, and it really feels like they tried to emulate that. With how the flying worked.
I saw something they did use a model for like the flying. I could be wrong, but I feel like I saw
something that's so jarring to me is that when it comes to Ultraman, like in this movie, Lipia has this pose that he does whenever he's in the air, and he doesn't move. Like
yeah, it's weird.
He does it when he's going up. When he's landing, he lands in that pose. When he does a spin kick, he spins around, but he's still doing that pose.
You want to know what the weirdest thing was? I was actually not taken aback in a negative way. He doesn't do the grunts.
Yeah, it is a tiny bit weird.
I thought I was really
Schwatch!
I feel like the grunts. Yeah, like I feel like the grunts are not super important, but like they're iconic, you know.
I thought it was because like whenever I watch a new gen. Which that can be dumbed down to just whenever I was watching Geat.
I watched Geat again.
Yeah, whenever I watched Geat, and the one time I watched Orb last night.
How was that?
I liked it. You know, I want to see other stuff first before I decide on what show I'm going to watch. But it was a solid first episode.
Good.
But both with how the fusions work and like the system in that show, the toy system, it's like okay. I scanned this Ultra. They make their iconic grunt. That's how it is in Geat of like, you go, try.
And then they do it. They did first in Orb.
Yeah.
Like, even that, like I think they use the same grunt for the. I think they use the same grunt for OG man.
Ultraman-san, yeah.
It's. I also think the grunts are really funny.
It is. There's so many moments in Geat.
Sevens is hilarious.
So many. There's one in Geat. It's just like, what's that? Another Ultra capsule, and it goes into his hand, and then you just hear, yeah.
I like Taros are funny because it has like a weird filter over it, so he's like, oh. I don't know. It's stupid.
Yeah, but I agree that the grunts still feel like they're. It's like Ichigo saying like "to" when he does like a little flip.
I really was missing them. I really was because I expected like a big moment where he says them. Or he says,
I expected it. I expected it in the final fight when they had the rise and everything.
But no. But they love abuse. No, I don't want to say abusing, but they love reusing his transformation sound like every couple minutes for any sound effect. But I guess it mostly comes in with the beta buff. The same technology.
It feels weird. You know how everyone was like weird relation to Dino Fury, but like how people like
really
the Green Morphin Master explaining all that stuff about the other Power Ranger seasons felt unnecessary. I kind of feel like it's both unnecessary, but at the same time I love it. Like I can admit it's unnecessary. They explained how he flies in this movie.
Wait, they did?
Yes. They explained
what is this?
When Zerob came around and he's like the thing Ultraman uses with his special beam attack is an element called Spatium 133. And it's like he uses it in condensed forms to shoot people, and he also uses spatium to manipulate gravity to make himself weightless and move himself around. It's like they really explained how he flies, but it makes sense though, because I thought an Ultraman is just they can fly. That's it. But in this movie, it's like actually he manipulates his gravity to make himself weightless, and that's why he can do so much of the goofy shit he does in this movie. Like does a little spin kick, like a little propeller.
You want to know what was crazy? Actually, two things. One, this is like the first. I'm calling him a Showa Ultraman because he is.
He is, but it's set in modern time because Giant Lady was on TikTok.
But that had me flabbergasted for a hot second. I was like, they got TikTok in this?
It was that and the Madoka mug.
But so back to the point. Oh god, I forgot it now. No, I remember. It was really weird seeing OG Ultraman like do a untransformation. Like that was so not like I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, that's really cool because like I don't think I've ever seen that with like he's not a show guy. He really isn't. But like just the idea of that's what his de-transformation would look like is just really interesting to me. Because you see it a lot with newer guys. Like, they get their asses kicked and then they just kind of disappear in a void of, like, not a void, but like a group of sparkles or lights or whatever. But this guy just just de-transforms by turning into a bunch of ribbons.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think...
It's also...
cool.
It's funny, like, not only do they explain how the flying works, but especially since this does factor into the plot, they explained how the rise works, too. With like, there's a thing called like the beta rock, and basically beta rocks can make things grow because he has a little bit of beta rock in his capsule, and that's what makes him grow. But also there's beta boxes, and that's what I used to make hot women grow. But it's also that they can summon them like not only does it make things grow, but it also makes them like more durable or stronger. Because like they said when Giant Lady was around, of like, we can't even cut her skin or her hair. She's made of the same thing as Ultraman. Or something like Anno, something like that. And so it was also like the beta box not only does it make things bigger, but it can also summon things from the Planck brain dimension, which is basically like if the Phantom Zone for Ultraman.
I don't even know if that's a thing in the lore.
Yeah, that entire explanation is so weird, but I feel like I kind of get it. Like it's like a storage dimension.
I get it. I've just never heard of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've never. Because like I get everything else. Like, oh, that's the guy. I know that guy. I know that monster. I know that monster. What the fuck is a Planck brain?
So it's like Ultraman basically sits in there while remotely hosting Shinji's body.
Bro's just gaming.
And then whenever he's summoned, Shinji's body goes into the Planck brain, and Ultraman's body comes out. But it's also like I like how the Planck brain dimension kind of looks like the background of a title card of a Showa Ultra.
I really like that.
It's really cool.
I like how they play with that stuff. Oh, speaking of, so actually this kind of relates to that a little bit. So Zophie, a lot of his dialogue, he keeps saying multiverse, and they're probably just trying to say universe, but they want to make it sound cool by saying multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's interesting because the Ultra multiverse is a thing. Like, it's canon, there's a multiverse. So I think it's just kind of interesting that it's like, technically speaking, this guy does actually exist with, like, Zero and Zet just, like, next door in a different universe somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird that, like, a crossover with the actual Ultraman is possible. It just probably won't happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that he's casually just saying multiverse. And it's in English.
I like the changes of the lore, too. Because from what I understand of Ultra lore, the giants on the planet of light are like, we know that we have power, so we swear to protect those who don't have our power. And it's really interesting to see in this one, Zophie is just like, dude, protecting other people is fucking lame. Let's just chill on our planet.
We don't do that. Like, it's against the law.
Like, bro, you actually try to protect these guys? They gotta die now.
And even that's like, well, we're gonna kill them, and then we gotta bring you back, and then it's a whole thing. I think it's interesting that they actually killed off Ultraman because that's not what happens. He just goes back to the Land of Light separated from Shinji in the original. So I don't know what they do for a sequel unless
Actually, I thought that's what they did at the end of the movie. It's like, oh, we'll take you to the planet of light, even though you're dying. But like, even because the whole thing.
He brought his body.
Yeah, the whole thing is like, oh,
that's what it was.
Even if you were to go back to Earth, like you would die because you're not good. So all right, and he's like, all right, fine, yeah, I'll repent for my crimes. Just send Shinji on. Because the only way he could have lived is if he went back home. So he is out there. He's just facing Ultraman crimes, I guess.
I was gonna come back.
I also really like. Again, I really like that Ultraman is just they set up in the first scene that like, oh, the team gives the kaiju the nickname, so it makes sense that they give Ultraman the nickname of Ultraman.
I actually really liked that. I really was like, because it probably happens similarly in the original, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like you never see it, but you're just kind of like, why is he called Ultraman?
Yeah.
But then it's just like the girl liked writing Ultra in her portfolios or whatever they were a lot. So they just
it also made sense with like in my opinion it makes sense with just Ultraman lore as a whole, like even show one, like the actual in show one, because it never made sense to me that all of them are Ultraman. It's just like, okay, all of you guys are Ultraman, but you guys also have separate names that you guys just call each other anyway. Like you guys call each other like, oh, Zero, G, Zet, you're Rube, you're Rosso, and all Blue. So it's just like, why you call you guys Ultraman? And the answer to that is like, none of them are Ultraman. His name is Lepia. in which that makes sense. Honestly, that's so funny to me because I always, in terms of that aspect, I always thought Kamen Rider and Ultraman could have been switched around in terms of how the naming works, and that would make sense. Like,
how so?
Because Ichigo isn't his name. In the original, he's just Kamen. Like, I think it's perfectly reasonable to just call him Kamen Rider because it's not like Ichigo is his real name. he's just Kamen Rider. It's just the title. He's the originator of the title. But in Ultraman, it was like, okay, his name is Ultraman, and so all of them are Ultraman.
I think with Ichigo specifically, the rider, not the Ultraman. I think or the Soul Reaper. That was terrible. Sorry, but I think it's because I think they don't call him Kamen Rider because Nigo took over. I think that's what it was, because Nigo for a time was Kamen Rider, and even arguably more so than Ichigo was. I think Ichigo's around for a lot less episodes than people think. At least in the start, right?
Yeah.
But like, I think the fact that they gave them Ichigo and Nigo is because they are the first two, but at the same time, not one of them can be Kamen Rider, because they technically both are the Kamen Rider. It's just kind of, they share the title. It's just, one's before the other. If you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I get what you're saying though. I think it's just, I've always found it weird. I really have, that it's like, okay guys, my name's Ultraman, but you guys are Ultraman plus a cool little noun.
Yeah, it makes more sense of like, okay, like the little like titles are their real names. And Ultraman is just like the title of like a hero or something.
Yeah. But I mean, like, Ultraman, Lepia doesn't sound as cool as just Ultraman.
So I like that. It's just like, oh, Ultraman's my hero name, but my real name is Lepia.
Dude's talking like a My Hero character. My hero name is Ultraman.
But Jacob, final thoughts on Shin Ultraman.
Shin Ultraman, solid flick. I actually would watch. I would watch it again. Better watching experience this time though. I would prefer not seeing like every individual pixel. But I actually would be down to see more of this, and I'm actually looking forward to Shin Kamen Rider now more. And I do want to check out Shin Godzilla at some point, and Ava. But what are your thoughts?
I love Shin Ultraman. I think Shin Higuchi and Hideaki Anno put their God, they put their all into this fucking movie, and it shows.
Ultra
I was gonna say something like that, but I wanted to refrain.
Put their beta OC into it.
Their beta capsules. They put their beta boxes into this one.
They put their plank OCs into this.
God. Not the Bruno C, but anyways, they put their all into this damn movie, and it really pays off. Even if this movie is unintentionally funny at times, it's still like the writing is solid, the directing is solid, the music, the music. I love the soundtrack for all the
music is. Really
I love the soundtrack for all the fights. It's just a casual soundtrack when they're just chilling or talking. I love the song they have at the end, M87. I love all the little minute details in this movie. I love, and it makes you want to go see Hideaki, all the other works the other two did, like the two of them did, like Evangelion and stuff like that, or Shin Godzilla. I'd be so down to watch that, and I cannot wait for Shin Kamen Rider. And I heavily recommend.
This guy loves this movie.
I do. Even I'm not an Ultra fan.
This guy is a Shin Ultraman fan, not
an Ultraman. I am a Shin Ultraman fan. If it's not Shin, I don't want it.
If it doesn't have Anno in it, I don't want it.
But
maybe that Geats feller's fine.
God,
I'm hard hat.
Shut up, don't you dumb.
Shut up, Peter.
But yeah, no.
You know what? Shout out Anno.
Shout out Anno. So you really did something good here. I can't wait to see sequels. I can't wait to see Shin Kamen Rider.
Shout out Lepia.
Shout out Asami on TikTok.
Oh no, they deleted all of them.
That's right. God damn it, Mephiles.
Damn it.
He truly is a villain.
He ruined Ultra.
But yeah, I heavily recommend.
Technically, she's an ultra woman.
I heavily recommend this movie to everyone. I unfortunately I had to watch it through torrenting it from the cat site because there's no way they would ever have a showing of this movie in my bumblefuck town of nowhere.
Of course.
But if it is in a theater near you, I so heavily recommend you go and see it because I feel like this movie might just be that much better in theaters.
4K. I'm doing the whole 9 yards, and honestly, I think this is a good ultra experience for people who don't necessarily actually like it, in a sense. Because I know a lot of people are turned off from Ultraman. I actually felt the same way about when I was watching those Godzilla movies.
Literally me.
I was watching Godzilla, and I was like, this is how people feel about Ultraman. They just kind of because the characters aren't really there, and I'm not saying Ultraman has that problem. I don't think it does. It really doesn't. But half of it's just action all the time. It's just wow, this is it. It's just big monster fighting big monster. It's not even that entertaining. Maybe it's just the ones I watch. But still, I do kind of understand the problem. But this one, I think, this movie specifically, I think solves that issue because this is just, I guess it's just how Ultraman works, but you make the main guy also a small guy. So it's but it's also a departure in a sense because I feel like more than ever, this is actually the Ultraman as a human being in a sense. He's actually a small guy now. He's not just some other guy acting like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. And I think it's a good movie overall.
Heavy recommend.
So,
this has been
75.
This has been College Boy Taisen, I hope
Shin College Boy.
I hope you guys have enjoyed this, whether it's background noise or you're some reason just staring at your screen watching little Discord icons flash.
You're staring at Amethyst. Can you put the close up of Zophie in the video for this one?
I'll do that. Either that or it's gonna be a really zoomed out the render of him in the forest just kind of floating there.
Yes. Just a little Zophie somewhere.
Yeah. I hope you have enjoyed listening this time around. We'll be around next week.
Hopefully.
Like,
comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell. Follow us on Twitter. He is at GuySoul with a G at the end.
Thank you. and he is at Ghially.
Yeah, two I's, a set of L's.
I thought that I fumbled. I said they were L's. Two capital I's.
And just a reminder, if we have the idea of maybe watching an Ultra show to kind of fill in our secondary topic. So if you want to,
what we could do,
if you want to see that, put suggestions or
we could put that little bit of us wanting to watch Ultraman separate on Twitter.
We could.
But also, watch the podcast. Or listen. I don't care what you do. Just interact it again. You don't even gotta watch it all the way. Just give us the like.
Yeah. So thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you later. Goodbye.
I love Ultraman.